It was late, the kind of night when even the mixing board lights looked tired. Neal Schon sat quietly with his guitar, just playing around. Journey had been recording for hours, but nothing felt right. The band was chasing something big, but no one knew what it was. Neal started strumming a small riff, something that wasn't even meant to be a song, just a warm-up. That little riff caught Jonathan Cain's ear. "Play that again," Cain said. Neal shrugged, almost embarrassed. "It's nothing," he replied. But Cain smiled. "No, man, that's something." In that tiny moment, what would become Journey's greatest hit, "Don't Stop Believin'," began. No one realized it yet. They were just chasing a feeling. But sometimes, the best songs aren't written. They just happen. By 1981, Journey was under real pressure. The band had fame, money, and fans. But the label wanted a song that would define them. Neal Schon felt it too. Every note he played was being watched, every idea judged. That night, after everyone left, Neal stayed behind. He just wanted to feel the guitar. No pressure, no expectations. He began playing a sequence that felt both hopeful and sad. He didn't know it, but those chords would become the emotional foundation for Don't Stop Believin'. The magic wasn't in the notes. It was in the feeling, the mixture of exhaustion, hope, and hunger. Neal was simply expressing what he couldn't say in words. "We're not done yet." Jonathan Cain had joined Journey only recently. He brought a new energy and a notebook filled with lyrical ideas. One night, as Neal played the riff again, Jonathan opened that notebook. He found a line he had written during his struggling years. "Don't stop believin'." He had written it years earlier when he was broke, living in Hollywood, and his father told him over the phone, "Son, don't stop believin'. It's gonna happen." That advice stayed with him. When Neal's melody met Jonathan's words, it was like lightning striking twice. The two stories, Neal's sound and Jonathan's struggle, became one heartbeat. When Steve Perry heard the demo, he stopped mid-conversation. "Wait, what's that?" he asked. Neal looked up from his guitar. "Just something we're playing around with." Perry's instincts kicked in. He began humming. Not lyrics yet, just sounds, like he was chasing a ghost melody. Within minutes, his voice wrapped around Neal's riff perfectly. The studio came alive. That was the magic of Journey. Three different men from different worlds, suddenly in sync. Perry's voice gave Neal's notes wings, and Cain's words gave it a soul. Most songs start with a verse, then build to a chorus, but Don't Stop Believin' broke every rule. Neal's chord progression came first, then the pre-chorus, then the ending. And only at the end comes the chorus. When producers heard it, they were confused. "Where's the hook?" one asked. Neal just laughed. "You'll see." They didn't realize it yet, but that decision would make the song legendary. It built tension, pulling listeners forward, never quite giving them what they expected, until the final moment. In the studio, Don't Stop Believin' wasn't easy. Neal's guitar lines needed to sound powerful but clean. Steve's vocals had to soar without overpowering. And the timing, it was strange. There was no chorus until the end. They spent days perfecting it. Neal's Les Paul cried with emotion. The band could feel something special happening. "It's like the song is writing itself," someone said. By the time they played the full track, everyone was silent. Then Steve Perry whispered, "That's it. That's the one." When Don't Stop Believin' was finished, the label didn't get it. "It's too weird," one executive said. "The chorus is too late." But Neal stood his ground. "It's not about rules," he said. "It's about feeling." They released it anyway, almost reluctantly, as part of the album Escape in 1981. None of them could have predicted what would happen next. When the song hit the radio, something unexpected happened. It didn't explode right away. It grew slowly, week by week. But people who heard it once couldn't forget it. Neal started hearing it everywhere. In bars, cars, high schools. It wasn't just a song, it was an anthem. The guitar intro, those piano notes, Steve Perry's voice, it all connected to something deep inside people. Years later, Neal Schon said, "It wasn't planned. I was just fooling around. But sometimes, the guitar finds the song for you." He laughed, remembering that night in the studio. I didn't think anyone would care about that riff. But millions did. For Neal, it was a lesson. That the best music comes when you're not trying to impress anyone. You're just telling the truth, note by note. Through the 80s, Don't Stop Believin' became a staple. Journey's concerts would explode when that opening piano began. Neal's guitar solo became one of the most iconic in rock. He said, "It's funny. That solo wasn't written. I just played what I felt. Every night, it's different." The song had taken on a life of its own, far beyond the band. As the years passed, Journey's members drifted apart. Fame, pressure, and egos tore them in different directions. Neal kept playing, but the magic of that era felt gone. Still, every time he picked up his guitar, that old riff reminded him of who they were, 5 dreamers who believed when no one else did. Decades later, Don't Stop Believin' was reborn. It appeared in TV shows like The Sopranos and Glee, and suddenly a new generation was singing it. Neal said in an interview, "I couldn't believe it. Kids who weren't even born when we wrote it knew every word." The song had become immortal, a message passed from one dreamer to another. To Neal, Don't Stop Believin' wasn't just about hope. It was about survival, about pushing through when the world doubts you. He once said, "We wrote it because we were scared, broke, tired. We needed to believe ourselves." That's what made it real. It wasn't a hit because it was perfect. It was a hit because it was honest. Years later, when Journey reunited, Neal played that riff again. The crowd roared, thousands of people across generations, all screaming the same words, "Don't Stop Believin'." He looked around and smiled. What started as a random guitar riff had become something much bigger, a symbol of hope that never faded. Looking back, Neal still calls it an accident. "We didn't plan it. We didn't know what we were doing that night," he said, "but maybe that's why it worked." Sometimes the greatest art doesn't come from perfection. It comes from honesty. Neal's accident became the soundtrack of millions of lives. And as the final notes echo across time, one thing remains true. He never stopped believing.